This is the Realme 9 Pro. This new mid-ranger is the successor to the Realme 8S 5G, which was a phone targeting budget gamers. Unlike its sibling, the Realme 9 Pro Plus, the vanilla 9 Pro has a bigger screen, a bigger battery, a brand new chipset, but a less impressive camera setup. So how does it fare? I'm Andrew for GSM Arena, and this is our review of the Realme 9 Pro. The Realme 9 Pro and its sibling have near identical designs with a distinctive camera island. While we have the midnight black version of the phone, the other variant has sunrise blue, which is actually a light shifting design. This means that when it's hit by UV light, it'll morph into a redder color. The glossy back catches fingerprints easily, but at least it's not very slippery. Maybe that's because the back and frame are made of plastic. The phone sides are flat all around, which makes the 9 Pro feel a tad sharp along the edges. The power and volume keys are easy to reach, and the power key doubles as a side-mounted fingerprint reader. It's fast and reliable, but you can't choose to only unlock the phone when you press the button. You can use a firm touch, which means you'll need to press the key, release it, and then touch the scanner again. On the front, you'll find a punch hole in the upper left corner and not so slim bezels, especially the one on the bottom. We didn't notice any light bleed here though, which is great. The 9 Pro has a 6.6-inch IPS LCD panel with a 120Hz refresh rate, instead of the Pro Plus's 90Hz OLED panel. You can set the refresh rate to 60Hz, 120, or choose the granular auto refresh rate. Curiously, in the auto mode, most of the system menus ran at 90Hz, apps ran at 120, and if you weren't touching the display, it dropped down to 60Hz. Unfortunately, games were stuck at 60Hz no matter what we tried. The LCD has a Full HD resolution, nice contrast, and good levels of brightness. With a max of 567 nits, you can comfortably read outside with it. Color accuracy isn't as nice, and whites and grays have a bluish tint, even with the natural color mode switched on. The 9 Pro has a headphone jack and a single bottom-firing speaker next to it. It got very good loudness in our tests. Quality-wise though, it's less impressive and the highs were distorted. Overall, music sounds rather flat. Thanks to its 5000 mAh battery, the Realme 9 Pro got an excellent 134 hours of endurance on our battery life tests. That's certainly enough to overtake most competitors. The 9 Pro uses the 33-watt Dart charger. While it's not as fast as chargers from competing brands, it got the phone a respectable 0 to 52% charge in 30 minutes and a full charge in an hour and 14 minutes. The 9 Pro has the Snapdragon 695 5G chipset, which is a brand new chipset to us. It has been totally revamped in comparison to its predecessor and has both more powerful cores and 5G connectivity. It's great for day-to-day tasks and did pretty good with games. The phone launches with Android 12 out of the box, which is nice to see. Its Android 12 specific features are mostly under the hood, though there's also a privacy dashboard where you can see all your permissions and user data settings. You can also choose the accuracy of your location, and you get a green dot in the corner of the display when your mic is turned on. The 9 Pro has Realme UI 3.0 on top. It's a colorful yet snappy UI with a lot of customization options. You can change everything from accent colors to icons to the shapes of the quick toggles. It also provides good multitasking features like the smart sidebar, which allows shortcuts to your favorite apps, and the flexible windows feature, which opens up apps in a floating window. Realme kept the icon pull-down gesture, where you can swipe down the edge of the screen to cram icons on the bottom half of the display for easier reach. It has a 64-megapixel main camera like its predecessor, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide lens, and a 2-megapixel macro camera. During the day, photos look about average for the price point. There is wide dynamic range, great sharpness, and adequate detail. We saw some noise and over-sharpened halos, but what caught our attention was a yellowish tinge across all the photos. It's probably a result of inaccurate color temperature metering. Colors are saturated but not off-putting. There's no telecamera here, but 2x zoom shots are respectable. There's less sharpness and more noise, but overall they're suitable for social media. The ultra-wide camera is like what we've seen on competing handsets. Ultra-wide shots have limited dynamic range, noise, sharpness, and they have washed out colors. There's almost no barrel distortion though. The macro camera produces subpar images, and with its 4cm fixed focus, most of our shots are blurry. Even when they were in focus, detail is not impressive. Colors are pale and contrast is lacking. Portraits are decent, but not the sharpest ones around. Colors are punchy, dynamic range is good, and the subject's face is always well exposed. The bokeh effect isn't very convincing and would sometimes miss a spot. In low light, photos with the main camera are a bit soft and shadows are underexposed. Highlights are clipped and colors could use a boost. Detail is good though. If you switch night mode on, images look considerably better and have more balanced highlights and shadows. There's more sharpness and more color. There's less noise too, but the noise reduction algorithm smears out some of the fine detail. Without night mode on, the ultrawide struggles to deliver even decent low light shots. With it on though, there's much less noise, more details in the shadows, better highlights, and more contrast in color. Selfies taken with a 16 megapixel camera are unsatisfactory. We expected more sharpness and detail, and there was a lot of noise. Colors are washed out too. The Realme 9 Pro can only record up to Full HD videos on the main and ultrawide cameras. The footage from the main camera is underwhelming. Colors were warmer than we'd like, no matter the scene. Sharpness, detail, and dynamic range aren't great either. The ultrawide camera doesn't have the yellow tinge, but its dynamic range is even more limited. And overall, the footage was worse. The Realme 9 Pro is a fantastic solution if you're after a 5G capable mid-ranger. It has a nice display, fast charging, a speedy chipset, and up-to-date software. That said, if you're after the best value on the market, you might want to take a look at some non-5G options like the Poco X3 Pro. Really, you should think twice about how important 5G is to you. Still, while we do wish the Realme 9 Pro had an OLED panel instead of an LCD one and better video recording, this is definitely a handset that we can recommend. Thank you for watching everyone, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time.